So, Alexi, overall, everything was correct as far as writing the expression from a word problem. The only issue I had was actually number 16. Number 16 was a tricky one, but for the most part, you wrote it correctly. You wrote 1/4 times parentheses 6 minus y parentheses equals 200. Okay? Now, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't use the parentheses. I'm sorry, you didn't use the parentheses, and that's what you really needed to do. For this one, you really needed to use the parentheses simply because of PEMDAS, you would have done 1/4 times 6, and then you subtract the y. But what they really want, they want to find out the difference between quarter of the difference between 6 and y. So therefore, you would have to subtract, you would have to do the difference between 6 and y and then take a quarter of it. And you'll come out with a different answer. Let's say y was 2, and you did 6 minus 2 is 4. A quarter 4 would be 1. And just, I'm just throwing out numbers here. And that would be 1. And if this was still 2 and you just did 1/4 times 6, I believe that would be something like 1.25. And then of course you can see 1.25 minus 1 would not give you 1. It will give you something different, 0.25. Okay. So that's the first part. The next part now, guys. The next part is we're gonna do simplifying expression. Okay. And this is kind of the building blocks of algebra, where you have an expression and you want to make it as simple as possible, and so therefore they call it simplified expression. So I'll give you an example and you'll see what I mean. So example 1, let's say you have 2x plus 6y minus 5x minus 3y plus 8 minus 9, okay, equals 13. I know it's very lengthy, but the reason why I did it this length is because I want to show you, I show you simplifying terms one time instead of 2 or 3 times, okay? So basically the essence of this is we want to group terms that are alike. And so what terms are alike? So if the term have the same variable with the same exponent on that variable, that means they're alike. So for this one, the variable is x, the exponent is 1. So therefore, we're going to try to find out every term that has an x and the exponent being 1. So this one has an x, and clearly the exponent is 1. But careful with this. You have to include the sign. So this is actually a negative 5x, okay? And if I look around, I don't see any more x. Another thing, it has to be on the same side of the equal sign. And I'll show you that when we come to that, what I mean. So we'll do 2x plus negative 5x will give you negative 3x. And that's the first thing. Now we go to the y. So the variable is a y, the exponent is 1, so we're going to look for every term that has a variable being y and an exponent being 1. So that's, and I'm sorry, usually we differentiate. I'm just going to put a box around y's so I don't mix them up. So we have positive 6y, and for this one we have negative 6y, negative 3y. So 6y minus 3y will give you plus 3y. Now, this is where I was talking about that you only can group like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So, for instance, I can group this whole number plus 8, positive 8, and this one would be a negative 9. Okay? So, I wouldn't put the 13 into it because it's on a different side of the equal sign. So now, positive 9 plus negative 9 gives you negative 1. And it's now equal to 13. Now, that's what they mean by simplifying expression. Before you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 terms. And you simplified it, and now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. And just to make a point, this expression is equal to that expression. There's no difference. It's just that you simplify. It's like fractions. When you simplify 5 over 10, you simplify it to be 1/2. But they're equal. They're the same thing. Okay? All right. So that's the lesson. I want you to do your homework tonight for tomorrow, for Friday. So Friday, you're going to show me this. You're going to read page 322 to 323. It's basically the same thing about simplifying expression, but just to look at it and see if you see any questions there. And then I want you to do page let me see, page 324, right? Numbers 9 through 27. Okay. Also, if you want some more information on that, with YouTube, you can actually type in simplifying expression, and there's a multitude of lessons that you can look at. Okay, simplifying expressions. Okay, so I don't think you would need that for this lesson, but if you're curious, you can look at that and solve it. The next video is the one that you're going to actually do in class, and this one is really the algebra portion where you're going to actually solve equations, and not the simple equations where it has 3 plus, x plus 3 equals 7, but complicated equations that has like 1/2 x minus 13 equals -20. The process is simple, and I think you'll be able to handle it. So watch the next video for tomorrow class. Okay.